Well, hello Digimon fans and welcome back to yet another video. Now, this video is gonna be a thought-provoking video once again, because the thing that brought me back to Digimon after almost 9 years now was the newest Digimon movie. It wasn't a good movie, sadly to say. I didn't like it that much, and a lot of that is because there was heavily implied that Ukkomon actually was the reason that the DigiDestined got their Digivices in Digimon. And I was like, you can't say that. Correct me if I'm wrong, I may have misunderstood the whole thing, because I only watched the movie one time, but it gave me some impressions that I didn't like. But from what I could see, they tried to imply that, well, Ukkomon here was the reason that everyone maybe got their Digimon and Digivice. So I finished the movie and didn't think more of that, but after a few days, on the other hand, I started thinking, well, it could be true after all. So let's take a look at this theory. To try and understand this, we need to go all the way back to the first DigiDestined. Yes, the first DigiDestined. Why did the first generation of DigiDestined fail? And why did Maki lose Homeostasis? Why did everything fall apart before the Adventure DigiDestined entered the digital world? And more importantly, what did Homeostasis learn from this failure? Because here's the clue. I think Ukkomon actually is Homeostasis in Digimon form. So, in Digimon Adventure 02, the beginning, the movie like I told you about, Ukkomon is like this nice Digimon that can create Digivices and give Digimon to humans, just to fulfill this boy's wish? What if Ukkomon here wasn't just acting because he was kind? Like I said, what if Ukkomon was Homeostasis, taking a Digimon form, to learn what it never truly understood before? So, the original DigiDestined, Maki and a group were the first chosen children according to the lore here. They were kind of like a test scenario, I guess. So, as we know, it ended up in a tragedy. Tapirmon died, Maki was not chosen to evolve her partner, she was left behind and emotionally shattered. And Homeostasis? It stood silent and he allowed it. Was that logic? Was it just some kind of like cold balance? Or was it a confusion from Homeostasis' side? What if Homeostasis saw the data alone couldn't save the digital world? What if he realized, or she realized at that moment, I don't understand humans at all? So, fast forward to the creation of Ukkomon. It is stated that he is from the ancient digital world. He grants wishes, as we know. One of his abilities is to create Digimon to humans. He tries to connect every human to a Digimon partner to force some kind of universal connection. So, does that sound familiar? That's some like kind of balance mission maybe. Harmony. That's the same goal Homeostasis always had. Only the difference now, he tries to work through emotion and not like logic control. So my theory is about this. Ukkomon wasn't just born from Louis' wish. Is it Louis? Louis? I've never said his name out loud, so it's just weird saying it now. Ukkomon was created by Homeostasis, as himself, as a Digimon. It's his first and only Digimon form. He didn't build himself to defend, he created himself to learn empathy. So why would this god being become a Digimon? Homeostasis has always worked in background, as we know, selecting, possessing, calculating. But what if after Maki's tragedy, it realized something terrifying? It realized something. I can't protect this world if I don't understand it. Not just the emotions, but the bond. Like the unseen thread between the DigiDestined and their partner. So he tried something crazy. He gave himself a form, not, like I said, as a kind of warrior or weapon, but as a Digimon. He created himself to feel and maybe learn. If you look at the evidence here, Ukkomon gives Digivices, just like Homeostasis did through Genai. Ukkomon created DigiDestined, the exact role Homeostasis always had. Ukkomon acts when balance is at risk. Ukkomon appears before anyone else, even before Tai even got his Digivice. And the big clue? Kari, the person that's most familiar with Homeostasis, immediately suspects that Ukkomon is connected to some higher power, because she's felt that energy before. She knows that presence, but only this time it had a face. But why did Ukkomon fail again? So, if Ukkomon was Homeostasis' emotional experiment, you could say, why did it go wrong once more? Because Ukkomon misunderstood the same thing Maki did. Connection isn't always automatic. It isn't assigned. You can't force bonds, not even with a Digivice. So Homeostasis tried to give Digimon to all humans, but emotion doesn't work like code. So once again he failed, like he did with the Maki generation. So maybe that's why Homeostasis never actually tried again. In Try, we can see he has gone back to possession again. It gives order, but it hides. It doesn't have a Digimon form, it doesn't show any emotion, but maybe Ukkomon was its one and only attempt to understand love and connection between humans and Digimon. But like we saw, it ended in chaos once again. Not because love is bad, but because it's not predictable. So, to conclude this theory, I guess, Maki's generation failed. Homeostasis realized it didn't understand emotion, so he created himself or herself as Ukkomon, as a Digimon, to learn what makes a true bond. Ukkomon tried to manufacture connection, but failed again. Homeostasis gave up on feeling and returned to logic. So what if this is like the hidden element in Digimon? God that tried to understand feelings.